Hello. Yes, here I am. I'm actually reading my messages. So I got one from Omar, and he was saying, "Hi, watching your shape cut painting video, applying technique. Would like to know if I would criticize his work when he's done with shaping it. Greatly appreciate if I do criticize it, but if not understand, here's a screenshot of what I got so far." Okay. And using Photoshop for this really troublesome without a stabilizer and the lasso tool. Yeah. Uh, but this is what I've managed so far from what I've learned from the video. Still working on it. Fair enough. Okay. So that. Oh, here we go. Let's get that image and bring it into TV Paint. Wabam! All right, let's begin. Let's begin now. All right, hang on. Let me just get rid of this layer here. Oop, wrong layer. There we are. You'll know it. Who is it? I just remember those like when I was a kid, we used to have these books which came with like a vinyl record. It actually came with a vinyl record, and it would be like, "This is the story of Droid World. You will know that it's time to turn the page when you hear R2-D2 beep like this. Let's begin now." And they would do that. So okay, all right. So let's see. I gotta get this thing onto transparency. So bam, bam, bam. Any other little pieces that I missed? Not really. I just simply went through and got this thing onto a oops, hang on. What is that? Got it onto, a transparent background. And hang on, let me just get rid of that. And get rid of that. And as you probably have guessed, this is not the first time I've actually done this video. I've done several takes of it. And finally, I think I've let's get to it. Okay, so yeah, we're right up to the edges on it here, and what I can say is, if we're in the digital age, if you're going up to the edges, extend the canvas. Every time you get really, really close to the edges, you always instinctively just don't want to go to the edges, and then that is going to it's going to cramp your style, seriously. So yeah, expand the canvas. Absolutely, positively. And that way, if you want to move things around, you can. So what else do we have here? Right. So I'm going to do something crazy. Let me just set that layer up as a mask layer. And bam. I go right into this thing just to check the silhouette. Okay. So I'm going right down to the most basics. And, well, what do we got here? If we look at that foot, I think, yeah, there's some things here that need some work. And so, these things need to be worked on before you put in the color. All right? Like, you gotta nip these things in the bud. So, yeah, I'm gonna go at it with a stabilizer. No sense in handicapping now look, really, seriously, do get a stabilizer, okay? If you plan on working as a lumberjack, then if all you have is a straight razor, you should really, really save up for an axe or a chainsaw, better yet. If you try to chop down trees with a straight razor, you'll only break your straight razor, or you're gonna get some really bad training scars. So there's that. And if you really are against working with a stabilizer, then you must adopt a technique that allows you to work without a stabilizer. That means getting pan, zoom, and rotate under control. You got to get these things on lockdown. Seriously. So, in my case, I am going to use a stabilizer just because, and I'm also going to do pan, zoom, rotation. Oop. Oh, right. Yeah, because let me just turn off this underlying layer. Right. So, yeah, get your tools on lockdown. And the thing is that, like, panning, zooming, and rotating in Photoshop is a huge pain in the ass. I mean, panning's easy. You just use the spacebar. Or you hit H to go to the hand tool. But if you want to rotate things, you have to press, like, a weird keyboard shortcut like Control R or something like that. Look it up. And then to do, like, a scrub zoom. This is a scrubbing zoom. You got to hit Z to get to the you got to hit Z to get to the scrubby zoom tool. And I mean, look, I got everything set up on one button. Like, I'm using an Nostromo and I'm using TV Paint. So I hit this thumb button, and that puts me in pan mode. I combine the thumb button with the right click on the stylus. That lets me scrub zoom. And then finally, if I double tap like that, but hold on it, it puts me in rotation mode. So double tap, zoom, right click. This lets me control my zoom, my view rapidly. And this is extremely important if I want, especially this becomes very important if I'm working without a stabilizer. If I want to work without a stabilizer, then the alternative is get a handle on the view. And that means going into Photoshop, editing its keyboard shortcuts to, so that you can easily access them, and or using a piece of gamepad remapping software like PadStar, and hooking up an Xbox controller or something similar, and getting it so that all of these keys are really easy, easy to deal with, and or use a remappable game controller or something like that, because seriously, it's like the longer you spend fighting with the software trying to control the view, like you see how quickly I work through this, right? And there's a reason why my interface is so immediate, why my interface allows me to keep my hands, why I've set it up so that it allows me to keep my hands and my eyes on the screen at all time, is because the artistic vision is fleeting. It's it disappears rapidly. I zoom out, I get an idea of what I want to do with my line, then I have to pan, zoom, rotate it into there, get that brush stroke out, pop back out, and then figure out what am I going to do next. So I'm constantly shifting the view, constantly zooming back out, and always thinking, what needs fixing? Where can I repair? Where on this drawing does it need my loving touch? So, that's the thing. So I mean, I'm going in here and just cleaning up that silhouette, really clean up the silhouette. Other thing, yeah, it's too soon. Like, it's too soon to be dealing with cloth. Like in this case, now that I've brought it all back to just the basic silhouette, yeah, I don't even put in hair or any props, no gloves or none of that. I just strip all that stuff away, because it's only going to confuse the matter, right? The clothing is something that I put onto the character after the fact. And here, like, I'm looking at this bow and I'm thinking, it's not very good staging. So staging is when you can look at a silhouette and understand what's going on. If we take a bow, right, which, let's say, holding it like this, okay, if I hold it like right out in front of myself, if we turn myself into silhouette, like, that gets hidden. So it makes, anytime you move everything to the center of the center line, it becomes difficult to understand what you're looking at. It makes the drawing harder to tell from a glance. People are going to spend time, or not, but they're generally, you want people to spend time looking at your drawing, but you want to make the best of their time, and you don't want them to have to squint at it for a while to figure out what's going on. So, I'm talking about the pose, here, is that you're going to do like the bow and arrow thing. Then we got to find a place for that bow that is going to make it easy to tell what's going on. And I mean, she's got a bow, she's got no quiver, no arrows, right? Look at this. She's got a bow, no arrow, no quiver, no string. I know you're going to add the string later. Okay. I'm just giving you a tough time on that. And so, yeah, let's I'm going to take it right back to right here we are. We're right back into the silhouette. And okay, so I'm going to find a way for that bow to read. I'm chopping it right out. All right, so I mean, if it is a problem at the fundamental level, meaning to deal with poses and stuff, that's how far I'm going to roll things back. I know you've done work on the thing, and it pains me it pains every artist to have to roll back that much work, but it's got to be done. It's got to be done. You got to do it because it's going to affect, how it's going to affect how you feel about the drawing. That foot's kind of looking a little small. And I don't know. I'm just not like, I'm not too, I can't articulate myself right now, but I'm just not too hot on, where that other foot is. So here, I'm going to just turn down the opacity of this whole thing and think about, I mean, if she's sitting down, if she's seated, right? So let's suppose, all right, so she's seated, and where is that other foot going? And those legs are really close to each other, right? So I mean, it's just it's a highly difficult silhouette to deal with. So I got one leg. The one leg's looking okay. Actually, you know what? I have some work I need to do on this one leg. Yeah, now it looks more foot-like. That's good. That's fine. All right, so and that other hand, I don't quite know what the other hand's doing as of yet. So right now, we're just gonna work with only the body and the torso. Okay. And so yeah, she's got a bow and arrow and a quiver. So yeah, again, like this part here, it's not reading too well. But I'm gonna put it back in. So my goodness. I've all but completely butchered this drawing. I'm sorry. But that's the thing is that if I try to let the rest of the drawing stop me from going in there and completely blowing things away, I'm not going to be able to deal with the understructure, which is the thing, right? It's why I say it's like you got to be able to do all the understructure pose stuff first before you even get into the silhouette stuff, right? Before you're even ready to paint the thing, you got to be able to handle like the pose. Otherwise, stuff has to be rolled back. Like you saw me destroy like the entire lower body of my other character and regenerate it. That's what I do. And let me just put this thing onto a white background for now. Okay. Because I did have, a sketch. It wasn't just I didn't just go into the shape. I actually had a sketch. And so okay, so we got this bow. I'm trying to think, where do we put the bow where it's not going to be obscured by the body? And I know what I suddenly know what I want to do with that other leg. And that is yeah, I'm going to move that up there. And this is just, what I've decided to do. It's not like this is what you must do, but I'm trying to find an alternative. I can't just say this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, and not propose alternatives. And then kind of want her to, hold on to that leg. And let's see, what else do I want to do? 'Cause I'm thinking that here's where we can somehow work in the bow. In fact, if anything, I would probably have her hanging onto her ankle. So actually, no, let's figure out what else to do with that leg, and again, what to do with the bow, because it's like if she has this bow, what would she do with it? Like we look at the original one. This is the thing, right? It's like I'm having to sit down and do the homework and figure out, all the stuff that not like what's she doing with that bow? It's a problem. If I'm ever gonna give a character props, something to hold, I got to think about what they're gonna do with that thing. So if they have a bow in their hand, they're either aiming, drawing, firing the thing, holding the bow behind the back, resting their arms on that thing, right? There's some sort of interaction that they got to be doing. Almost like I have to go like all the way back to like the just back to the. I almost want to have like, okay, so the body's here, and I want to have the quiver. Right? How do people draw arrows from a quiver anyway? That's in the back. Do they, or isn't the quiver like usually at the waist? I don't know. Where do people keep like their quivers? Let's see a person. So they have it on the back, and that is left. Oh no, that guy does it the other way. That's from Lord of the Rings. They do it that way. He does it this way. Okay. So typically it's along the right side. And also the bow's there as well. And I suppose, let's see, what do you hold with? She's holding it with her left hand and drawing with the dominant right. She's drawing with, okay, so she's holding the bow with the left, drawing with dominant right. You see, here's the thing. We don't have to make this stuff up. Right? It's holding with left, drawing with right. Okay. But pretty much most of these, I assume they're all right-handed. All these people are always drawing with the right. Guy looks like a clown. Okay. And so the quivers also, the feathers are accessible from the right side. So I guess that's what they do, right? Is they drag out here, they knock the arrow, pull it back, and release. Sorry, I got a big microphone in my way, but that's I don't know how they're supposed to do it, but most people I see looks like they're carrying it up like behind their cheek. Oh, she's got like some kind of like key ring release or something like that. Yeah. She's not actually, yeah, so she's not actually holding onto the string. She's got a key ring or a trigger release or whatever those things are. And that's a compound bow. And it's got like the arrows like in the thing. Crazy. Right. So again, I can't stress. Oh, she's actually has it, down below as well. So this is different. Cosplayer. Right. I mean, I like this stuff is all real like important to the creative process, right? The moment you start to bring in bows and arrows, meaning you're trying to bring in things that people are going to have some experience with, they're going to look at it and they're going to say, "Yeah, something doesn't quite seem right." They've seen it before, they don't know exactly, but the thing is that whatever you're showing them is different from what is normally done. And if anyone's seen it before, they're going to be like, it's not quite right. So, yeah, okay. So if you're right-handed, you also draw from the right side. Which means she's holding onto the bow with her right hand, which makes this left-handed. That would make her left-handed. No wonder why something was off. Like I was looking at that and I'm like, something doesn't feel right. She's holding the bow in her right hand when she should be holding that bow in her left and drawing the arrows with her right. We got to change. We got to change which hand that bow is in. Maybe I don't have to go and make a whole bunch of brand new stuff when I'm trying to figure out this pose. That, and she's also, seated. Don't know how many people will be firing arrows while seated. Just keep that in mind. Yeah, and so okay, gee, that's tough. It's like it's hard for me to draw when I have like now that I know all this information. It's like it's so much harder for me to draw with misleading information on the page, meaning an incorrect drawing on the page. So, okay, wow. All right, let's figure out what I can do from here on out. Oh, let me set that to multiply mode. There we go. Well, for one thing, I know that I can't have these black lines up right now. Like I can't have the silhouette up at the moment. I have to turn it off because that silhouette is forever going to tell me that we're in silhouette mode, that we are at that stage. We're not. I've rewound the process. So this is as far as we are with this bow and arrow thing. And so, okay, all right, fine. So if we put her shoulder here and we put a quiver back here. Okay, I'm trying to think about how I want to have that strap go across her boobies. So right. Put in a bunch of arrows. Oh yeah, she's gonna draw back with like one hand. So I don't know which way the hand is gonna be oriented when she grabs an arrow. Like palm to the forehead, kind of. All right. So if her head's around here, her forehead would be up here. Palm to the forehead. Thumbs down as well. It's so weird, like drawing it from this perspective, because like, yeah, all right. And that elbow, whew, all the way out. Now it's one thing to to work out a pose. It's another thing to figure out, from what angle will we shoot this image? And I say shoot in like as in terms of like a photography, um, as a photography term. And those wow, that so all those fingers really they're like it's upside down. It's totally upside down. So it's like that. That's where the thumb is. You got pinch and arrow. Like that. So that's where the blade of the hand is. Okay. All right. And instantly I can tell, hey, look, this has helped. This has greatly solved a lot of the staging issues. All right. So I'm gonna this is gonna make it so that we can really see this. Like this is gonna make for a really readable silhouette. So actually, I'm gonna just maybe I'm gonna draw the arm back a little bit more. So now we form a nice triangle here. Right. So I'm just having to space out. There's where the blade of the hand is going to be here. Much better. So now we can see that she's in the midst of drawing an arrow out. Got to correlate that. Kind of move that quiver up a bit. Great. Okay. And then that bow. So what to do with it? Like sitting on like she's sitting on something while I don't know. Like gonna move the other. Let's figure out the other hand. Just draw right through the boob. Fine. This is how I'd probably have the bow. I'm going to turn the bow the other way. So that it's going to curve in reverse. The reason for this is that the gravity is going to cause that bow to flip over. So we can either take both feet and put them together. Or we can cross the legs so we can have one higher. So actually, let me draw the one underneath first. And I'm gonna have to change up. I'm gonna have to make the image bigger, without a doubt, and then move the other one over top. So you see how I deal with the joint interaction. Yeah, we're not even dealing with shape anymore. It's just like I said, I've rolled it all the way back. All right, you got to get all this stuff nailed down before you get into shape stuff, or you'll wind up having to undo a lot. It's just easier in this stage to be working out these details. Yeah, let me I want to have lots of room to play around. Just you can't rush off to try and get to the shapes, or you're gonna have a lot of work to revise. Like the reason I'm able to do it is because I've worked with pure shape before and used like pure shape to do a lot of my own work, like just completely from scratch. But I've also gotten to the stage where I can really, really do this stuff and I can combine the two. But in this case, this is a much more complex pose than the one that I was doing, right? You can get away with a lot less when you're doing a pretty simple pose, but when you start bringing in bows and arrows and all these other things, then yeah, you have to really you're you know, it's just the margin of error gets that much smaller, and the the job is just much more unforgiving. And yeah, I mean, stabilizer, man, gotta have yourself a stabilizer. Don't know why. I really don't like. I mean, okay, I do kind of understand why Photoshop is what people use for a lot of their work. You know why people use it for drawing, because yeah, you know it has Brush Engine is nice, right? You can really get some nice. It's good for finishing things, but it's not good for sketching. Like I find that its interface is incredibly rigid. And if you want to get really clean stuff, then you're going to be fighting it. Like if you're going to do clean work, like you know stuff that looks like vector, like what I was pulling off, you're going to be fighting it. You're better off with something like Paint Tool Sai. I don't. I know people were suggesting things like Krita. I haven't used it, so I can't really say. Uh, but it's free, so it doesn't hurt to try it. Apparently, it has a stabilizer in it. Yeah, actually, I think Krita has Krita has a built-in stabilizer. So there you go. I mean, you don't have to pay a dime for that. Don't know how those guys stay in business. Okay, so this part I'm still a little hinky, a little unsure. That's okay, right? Like, I mean, it's okay to be unsure of things. This means you're gonna have to knock things back. And, I don't care that all those lines which were perfectly dense are just gone because it doesn't matter. I'm gonna be putting shapes over them anyway. So, don't be precious with your work. Be prepared to just take off. Take the sight from orbit. It's the only way to be sure. Yeah, I like where this is going. 'Cause, again, this is a very readable pose. Like you can this is gonna make for a very readable silhouette. Sorry, I came along like completely butchered your character, and I'm at giving her big tits. And so, okay, there. Now I can. I'm trying to figure out how do I want that bow to. What I should do is that before I work out the hand and that bow is I should figure out the bow first. The bow and the knee interaction to be completely precise. So if this is the top plane of the knee, right, this little rectangle here that you're seeing, it's a quadrilateral plane, or planar quadrilateral. And there, I can work out a cylinder. This would be the handle of the bow. And now I can figure out how I want her hand. So I guess I'm going to put the back meaty part as the blade of the hand. Right, so that's going to go. So this is going to be the pinky finger going over. Then I'm going to figure out where the index is. Index is going to go over that. And then there's everything in between. So I don't go pinky, ring, middle, index. I go pinky, index. I just skip over these things, right? It's like I keep telling people don't just start here at A and then keep leading out going to B like that, right? I just get, say start out with A, start out with B, and then figure out what's in between, right? Like don't go sequential, subdivide. This is a way that I just handle the fingers by subdividing. And now I can kind of figure out, where the rest of the hand is. Great. And then I can go out like that. And I just know that I want the string to be maybe here to here. And if you're having difficulty with the perspective of it, then, well, we've got the leg where it's kind of going across like that. And we can draw like a draw a quadrilateral. Right? We put an X through the thing. We can see that it centers properly. That's how we check our perspective. And then we can tell, all right, so this is where the ends of the bow come out, the antlers or whatever they call them. I'm not a professional archer or anything like that. I'm sure there's lots of archers in the crowd that are going, no, you have all the terminology wrong. Okay, sorry. Leave a message in the comments for what it's all supposed to be called. Right. But this is how I manage to keep things in perspective, is I can just use the quadrilateral. It's a wonderful tool. All this stuff, drawing boxes, drawing ellipses, they're all just useful tools. And there's even, I think that when it comes to bows, there's a correct sizing for people. Meaning it's possible to get a bow that's too small for you or too large for you. I've been to a firing range once. A firing range, and they also had an archery range there. And I just remember a little bit of that stuff, them talking about a bit of that stuff. And I just know that it exists, that there is a right way to do it, and a wrong way. And in that case, it just means, hey, age of the internet, got to look that stuff up, man, and make use of it. So yeah, now it's substantially more. Right, the staging is a lot clearer. It makes for a much stronger silhouette. Here, let me move this over here. I'm going to delete what I just did there. Right? I know hardly anything stayed. Right? And everything just... God, it's a completely different drawing now. But enjoy your brand new, enjoy your trusty old axe. I just replaced like the handle and the head on it. But I'm not into like I don't want to just come along and just change one little thing in your drawing or change it. Like I want to change the way that you approach the this creative process, that you don't just like I didn't want people to look at the painting video and just say, oh great, well okay, this is time for me to throw all the underlying stuff out the window and start painting. It's like why I always I'm always hesitant about showing people painting videos, because they always jump to painting. But I don't want to be stuck in dealing with basics for the rest of my life, right? Like I don't want to be always just doing perspective box mindset videos all the time. But I just hope that something like a video like this, or maybe this experience, will give people a bit more of a thirst, maybe a bit more of a thirst for the fundamentals, for those early stages. I mean, look, it's a cute drawing, right? Artistically, it's still a cute drawing. It's just them fundamentals, man. Thinking that leg just a little too short, right? Yeah, I just boop, 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 bam. There we go. Much better. Of course, I'm just going with my preferences. I'm an old geezer. I think I like the older women. That's what that line is. That's why I perched it there. Yeah. I mean, something like that. This is where I would use as a jumping off point to the silhouette stuff. All right. Anyway, I gotta go.